Reaction, author of the brand new book, by the way, One Vote Away. It comes out tomorrow. It's now on Amazon.com. Texas Senator, constitutional scholar in his own right, Ted Cruz is with us. Boy, the timing, very interesting. And he is slated to meet with Amy Coney Barrett tomorrow. You know, your colleagues on the Democratic side, they're so collegial. They're so warm. I don't remember slander smears against Justice Ginsburg, Elena Kagan, Sonia Sotomayor, Breyer. I don't remember Republicans ever borking or Clarence Thomasing or Kavanaughing anybody.
No, but it is one-sided. The left, they do scorched earth warfare against Supreme Court nominees. You rightly started with Bork. You look at what they did to Robert Bork, where Joe Biden played an integral part in it, and Ted Kennedy, and they went after and smeared and defamed him, so much so that his name is now a verb, to bork someone. And the people who've been borked are obviously Robert Bork. Clarence Thomas, it was despicable what they did to Justice Thomas. Sam Alito, they went after him and smeared him. Justice Kavanaugh, and now they're starting with Judge Barrett, and it is. I fully expect the confirmation hearing to be a political circus. I expect the Democratic base demands that they do everything they can. I think we'll see a Cory Booker Spartacus moment. And we're already seeing them target Judge Barrett's young kids, which is really despicable. Kids should be off limits. On the merits, she is a very strong choice. And, Sean, I'm confident the Senate is going to confirm her and do so by the end of the month.
Okay. 29 times in presidential election years, there have been openings on the U.S. Supreme Court. You've discussed this in a column. I want you to explain what has happened historically, because all 29 times presidents nominated people. That would be the norm.
That's exactly right. In our country's history, 29 times there have been Supreme Court vacancies during presidential election years. Presidents always nominate someone. All 29 times, whether you're Republican or Democrat, the president nominates someone. And what's interesting is what the Senate does. There's a clear historical pattern and precedent. 19 times the Senate and the president have been in the same party. The Senate has confirmed 17 of those nominees. 10 times the Senate and the president have been from different parties. The Senate's confirmed only 2 of those nominees. So the clear precedent is if you're of the same party, you go forward. And here it's especially central because 2016 was a referendum on Supreme Court justices. As you mentioned, I've got a book coming out tomorrow, One Vote Away, and how a single Supreme Court seat can change history. And it starts with the death of Justice Scalia in February of 2016. And what the book does, Sean, as you know, before I was in the Senate, I was a Supreme Court litigator. And so what I did for a living was argue cases in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. Each chapter of the book addresses a different constitutional liberty. So there's a chapter on free speech. There's a chapter on religious liberty. There's a chapter on the Second Amendment. There's a chapter on U.S. sovereignty. There's a chapter on democracy and elections talking about Bush versus Gore. I helped represent Governor George W. Bush in Bush versus Gore. We may well see that same kind of litigation this election. And what the book does is it tells war stories from inside. It takes readers behind the curtain. If you want to understand what's going on at the Supreme Court, who the justices are, and what's really striking is it goes through the big landmark cases, many of which I helped litigate, and one after the other, they're 5-4. We're one vote away from losing our fundamental liberties. In the book, I wrote it this summer. I didn't know we'd have a vacancy, but I did know we'd have an election in November. And it's front and center, the stakes of this election. And it's also front and center, if you want to understand the fight we're having over Judge Barrett right now, the book One Vote Away helps explain that.
You know, and you're right about that, too. And you listen to the threats. We'll try and get rid of the Electoral College. We'll pack or stack the court. We'll get rid of the legislative filibuster. And we can impeach the president any day of the week for anything. I mean, this is the crazed rhetoric that has come out just since the vacancy came.
That's exactly right. And part of it is because the courts are how the left has implemented their agenda. They want judges that decree left-wing outcomes that the voters wouldn't accept. And you know what's quite interesting, Sean? So the Democratic talking point that all the Democrats are using, they've got amazing message discipline, is they're all saying this is about health care and pre-existing conditions, which is nonsense because all the Republicans agree we're going to protect pre-existing conditions. What's fascinating is the Democrats don't want to talk about free speech because one more leftist justice would take away your and my free speech rights. They don't want to talk about religious liberty, the zealots they are, and they would take away religious liberty. They certainly don't want to talk about the Second Amendment. You look at a case like Heller versus District of Columbia, which I represented Texas and 30 other states litigating. Heller upheld the individual right to keep and bear arms. The 4 dissenters, they didn't argue that some gun control is sometimes okay. Reasonable people can disagree on that. The 4 dissenters argued there is no individual right at all in the Second Amendment, that the government could make it illegal for you or me to own a single firearm, and no American would have a right to challenge that in court. That is radical, that is extreme, and Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden pledged every justice they appoint would vote for that position. That's how dramatic this threat is, and it's why the stakes. This nomination of Judge Barrett may well be the single most important thing President Trump has done in his first term, and it's a big reason why we need to reelect him in November.
Senator, congrats. The book is on Amazon.com. This is a must-read. People need to understand. This is deep. This is profound. This will impact this country for generations. Not only Senator, I think I'll just refer to you as constitutional scholar, Senator Cruz. Amazon.com, as of tomorrow, bookstores everywhere.